Emily adjusted the strap of her light blue dress nervously as she sat at the farthest corner of the wedding hall. The celebration was in full swing. Laughter, clinking glasses, and flashes of sequined gowns filled the space. But she felt oddly invisible. She wasn't exactly a loner. She just didn't belong here. The groom was a distant cousin, and while her parents insisted she attend, none of her close friends had come. Groups of people were clustered around tables, chatting animatedly, while she scrolled aimlessly on her phone, pretending she had someone to message. The truth was harsher. She had gone through a painful breakup just 3 months ago. Weddings weren't her favorite places to begin with. But now, surrounded by couples whispering sweet things and families posing for photographs, she felt the emptiness sharper than ever. As she sat there, a group of relatives across the room whispered and laughed, occasionally glancing her way. She knew the familiar look. A young woman, sitting alone. Must be something wrong with her. Emily hated the judgment in their eyes. She sighed and reached for her glass of juice, wishing the evening would pass quickly. That's when she noticed him, a tall man in a charcoal suit, confidently moving through the crowd, shaking hands, smiling politely. He looked unfamiliar, perhaps from the groom's side of the family. His presence had a calm yet magnetic quality, the kind that made people notice without trying too hard. For a brief second, their eyes met. Emily quickly looked away, embarrassed to be caught staring. She straightened her posture, but her heart raced a little. Just then, a loud voice called her name. One of the aunts beckoned. "Emily, why are you sitting alone? Come, meet these people." Before she could protest, the man approached her. He leaned closer and whispered in a voice just audible above the music, "Pretend you're with me." Her eyes widened in surprise. Before she could respond, he gave a reassuring smile and extended his hand slightly, as though they were already familiar. Emily hesitated. She didn't know who he was, but for the first time that evening, her loneliness felt slightly interrupted by a stranger with mysterious kindness. Emily blinked, still unsure if she had heard him right. "Pretend you're with me?" The words echoed in her head as she tried to grasp the situation. The man's calm smile didn't falter. He gave a subtle nod, then turned to the relatives who had been eyeing her earlier. "The seat taken?" he asked warmly, as if they had known each other for years. Without waiting for a response, he sat beside her. Emily's first instinct was to push him away, but something about his confidence kept her still. The aunts who had been gesturing for her to join them now exchanged curious glances. Their chatter softened into whispers as they turned their attention elsewhere. Who are you?" she asked softly, trying to keep her voice steady. He chuckled lightly. "Let's just say I couldn't watch you sitting here, enduring the kind of stares that weddings specialize in." He extended his hand. "I'm Ryan. The groom and I went to college together." Relieved he wasn't some random gatecrasher, Emily slowly shook his hand. "I'm Emily." Cousin Ryan leaned back comfortably, as though his presence beside her was the most natural thing in the world. "Nice to meet you, Emily. I figured you could use some company." She studied him. He wasn't striking in the movie star sense, but his presence had warmth. He spoke without pretense, and that alone was disarming. Soon, conversation flowed. Ryan told her funny stories about his college days with the groom, his love for traveling, and his obsession with old rock music. Emily, who had barely spoken a word all evening, found herself laughing. Her earlier heaviness began to dissolve, replaced by the comfort of being seen. "You know," Ryan said after a while, lowering his voice conspiratorially, "people keep staring because they love drama. Sitting alone at a wedding automatically makes you a mystery. Now that I'm here, they'll invent some new story about us instead." Emily laughed almost too loudly. "That's terrible." "Or convenient," he said, grinning. In that moment, she realized something unusual. She didn't feel like a lonely guest anymore. For the first time in months, she wasn't defined by her heartbreak or her solitude. She was simply herself, sharing an unexpected connection with a stranger. As the music swelled and couples headed to the dance floor, Ryan looked at her and said softly, "Care to join me?" Her heart skipped a beat. At first, Emily wanted to refuse. Dancing meant attention, and she had spent most of the evening trying to avoid it. But Ryan's hand remained extended, his expression gentle, almost patient. "Come on," he urged. "It's not about the steps. It's about escaping those stairs for a little while." Something inside her softened. She placed her hand in his, and together they walked toward the dance floor. The DJ switched to a lively pop song, and couples spun and swayed around them. Emily felt awkward at first, her movements stiff. Ryan, however, danced with an easy rhythm, not caring whether he looked polished or clumsy. "Relax," he whispered, leaning close. "Just follow my lead." And she did. Slowly, laughter bubbled from her chest as he exaggerated silly moves, making her giggle uncontrollably. When the song shifted into a slow, romantic melody, Ryan drew her closer. Their eyes locked, and for the first time, Emily noticed the kindness in his gaze wasn't performative. It was genuine. "You're good at pretending," she murmured nervously. "Maybe it's not pretending," he replied, his voice almost lost in the music. Her breath caught. For someone she had met barely an hour ago, he had an uncanny ability to disarm her walls. Around them, relatives whispered, smiled, and speculated. Emily knew she should care about what they thought. But in that moment, she didn't. For once, she wasn't the girl left behind or sitting alone. She was simply a woman enjoying a dance with someone who saw her beyond assumptions. After the song ended, Ryan led her off the floor, both of them still laughing. They returned to their corner, and she felt lighter, almost as if the evening had shifted colors. "See," he said, still catching his breath. "Told you it wouldn't be so bad." Emily shook her head, smiling despite herself. "You're impossible." "Impossible is underrated," he said playfully. "So tell me, what's your story really? I feel like you were hiding long before I found you tonight." The question startled her. His tone wasn't prying, just curious. And for reasons she couldn't explain, she felt safe enough to answer. She inhaled deeply, then said, "I wasn't planning to share this with anyone tonight. But maybe it's time." The music around them faded into background noise as Emily began to speak. "I was supposed to be engaged earlier this year," she admitted softly. "We had families involved, plans in place, everything, but he changed his mind. Said he wasn't ready. It ended abruptly. I don't think I've recovered yet." Ryan's expression softened, his smile fading into quiet empathy. He didn't interrupt, didn't offer cliches. He simply listened. That more than anything made her feel understood. "I wasn't even sure I wanted to come here tonight," she continued, her eyes fixed on her glass. "But my parents insisted." And sitting alone in a place like this, it's like a spotlight on your failures. There was silence between them for a moment. Then Ryan leaned forward. Or maybe, he said gently, it's not a spotlight on your failures. Maybe it's a chance for life to surprise you. His words struck her unexpectedly, like a breath of fresh air. You talk as if everything happens for a reason, she said, a hint of skepticism in her tone. Not everything, he admitted. But sometimes the worst endings make space for the right beginnings. If that relationship ended, maybe it wasn't where you were meant to stay. Emily studied him. His words weren't overly philosophical. They were grounded, simple, but they carried weight. And you? She asked, curious. What about you, Ryan? Why are you sitting here, rescuing strangers from judgmental relatives? He laughed softly, then paused. Because I know what it feels like to sit alone at weddings. My sister got married last year, and I was the guy in the corner, dodging questions about when it would be my turn. It's not easy, is it? Her lips curved into a faint smile. No, it's not. For the first time that evening, Emily felt a connection that went deeper than polite conversation. It was two souls recognizing the loneliness in each other. As the night wore on, the hall grew louder with music and dancing. But in their quiet corner, something intimate blossomed, something that felt like hope. Ryan finally looked at her, his voice gentle. You don't have to keep pretending with me, Emily. I see you. And she realized he truly did. The wedding was winding down. Guests had begun leaving. The music softened, and children slept on their parents' shoulders. Emily realized how quickly time had passed. She wasn't ready for the night to end. Ryan stood, helping her with her shawl as the evening breeze swept into the hall. I should probably find the groom before I leave, he said. But I'm glad I found you first. His words carried a warmth that made her chest tighten. She wasn't used to goodbyes feeling so heavy after such a short acquaintance. Thank you, she said, her voice low but sincere. For tonight. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't. She trailed off. He grinned lightly. You would have survived. But maybe it wouldn't have been as fun. They walked together toward the exit, where the fairy lights sparkled against the dark sky. The night smelled of roses and champagne, mingled with the fading aroma of cake. At the gate, Ryan hesitated. So, Emily, I could let this be just a story about two strangers at a wedding. Or, he pulled out his phone, offering it with a quiet hopefulness. We could see if this story has another chapter. Her fingers lingered for a moment before taking the phone. She typed her number slowly, her heart racing. Handing it back, she smiled nervously. Maybe some stories are worth continuing. Ryan's eyes lit up. I was hoping you'd say that. They stood in silence for a second, the world buzzing faintly around them. And in that silence, something shifted. Not a grand declaration, not fireworks, but a promise. A promise that even the loneliest corners could lead to unexpected beginnings. As Emily got into her car, she glanced back once more. Ryan stood under the wedding lights, waving with the same calm smile he had carried all evening. And for the first time in a long while, Emily didn't feel like the girl sitting alone at a wedding. She felt like someone on the brink of something new. After all, sometimes life doesn't whisper. It sends a stranger to whisper for it. Thank you so much for watching this story till the end. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe even learned something from it. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, full of life lessons, drama, and emotions, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss an update. Your support means the world, and it helps me keep bringing you more inspiring and unforgettable stories. Stay tuned because more amazing stories are on the way.